In between casting your presidential primary vote and your party nominating the candidate officially, there's a whole group of people moving this process along: delegates. Delegates are selected to represent your state's primary or caucus results at the Democratic and Republican Party conventions, where nominees are chosen for each party.
The delegates for each party are the people who actually go to the convention and are the ones that vote for who the nominee should be for both president and vice president. So the delegates are literally just people.
Once voters cast their ballots in statewide nominating races, those votes are then calculated into delegates who represent candidates. The number of delegates varies state to state.
But essentially, there are two steps to the delegate process. The first step is the actual vote, in which the number of delegates going to each candidate is determined. And then the second step is determining who those delegates are. And both of those steps are very important to the campaigns. And of course, the delegates tend to be people who are very involved in Democratic Party politics. And so it's fairly easy to find people who are loyal to you and going to cast a vote in the way that you hope they will.
For a candidate to become the party's nominee, they must win a majority of delegates. Once the conventions roll around, delegates call out their votes on behalf of the states they represent.
There is sort of a bit of pomp to it. It adds a layer of interest to what you understand is going to be a vote that turns out in a particular way.
And we are proud to cast New Mexico's 24 votes to the next president of the United States, Donald J. Trump!
There are also superdelegates, which operate on a slightly different set of rules and vote for whoever they choose, unbound from primary or caucus results.
For the 2020 election, about 16% of Democratic Party delegates will be superdelegates.
Superdelegates, they're under no obligation whatsoever, not even a sort of handshake obligation to vote for anyone. They can go and vote for whoever they want to.
Finally, with the delegate votes cast, the parties are ready to formally announce their nominees. Conventions are usually uncontested, meaning we know who the party's presumed nominee will be going into the convention. For the 2020 presidential election, we'll see uncontested conventions from both parties. Despite having a historically large number of primary candidates, Democrats will have former Vice President Joe Biden as the presumptive nominee, and Republicans will put forth President Trump. Now, you might be thinking, what happens to the delegates who pledged themselves to a different candidate who ended up losing the nomination? For someone like Senator Bernie Sanders, who won close to 1,000 delegates before dropping out, delegates represent ideological real estate in the party. So instead of ceding them to Biden, Sanders plans on keeping his delegates to maintain a voice at the convention.
While Vice President Biden will be the nominee, we must continue working to assemble as many delegates as possible.
Sanders and Biden reached an agreement on this.
Part of what the tacit agreement here is that he is going to be able to have representatives in the room. He is going to be able to have a presence in the process itself, which is basically a show of respect from the Biden camp. So in the broad sense, it doesn't really change the calculus, but it does ensure that Sanders' views and viewpoints will be heard at the convention itself.
Coronavirus may affect how the 2020 conventions play out. The DNC has already delayed their convention as a precaution.
I think everyone sort of keeps their fingers crossed that maybe something will happen, some dramatic change in the coronavirus boundaries of how the virus is spreading in the United States that will allow that sort of gathering. It just seems extremely unlikely.